Whether you realize it or not, there's a good chance your life has substantially benefited thanks to a dam. It's not just something beavers make. A dam provides numerous useful advantages for communities, including the storage and retention of water in massive quantity. This water can then be utilized for recreation, hydropower, irrigation, or a number of other services. Holding back all of that water is no easy task, so dams have to be constructed with the utmost care to ensure that there are no leakages. Unfortunately, that doesn't always mean things work out that way. Just recently, a dam failed in Michigan that forced thousands of residents to evacuate and caused millions of dollars in damage. And this is just one example. From Laos to California, here are 5 massive dam failures that were caught on camera. Although Laos may be a landlocked area, it has numerous intertwining rivers which necessitated the construction of a dam. It was an ambitious undertaking as the dam was designed to become the Battery of Asia. The dam was built near the Cambodian border, and it was designated to operate at a capacity of 410 megawatts. The country's government planned on exporting a sizable chunk of the electricity generated to Thailand to earn a profit. However, things took a disastrous turn on September 11, 2017. The reservoir for the dam, which was still under construction, collapsed due to heavy rains occurring in the vicinity. This caused massive flooding in the surrounding area. Hundreds of thousands of cubic feet of dirty water entered 8 villages in Laos's Xaisomban province. Farmlands and infrastructure suffered, and you can see the extent to how bad this all was in the following video clip. It wasn't long before the water started to make its way into the village. Pay careful attention to the vehicle that's wisely getting out of the way once the driver realizes the water is inching closer. Within a matter of seconds, the entire area is flooded. In the aftermath of the flooding, government officials wanted to hold the hydropower dam project developer legally responsible for the damage caused by the collapse. It appears as though the reason the dam failed was due to it being built on a reservoir. The area simply couldn't handle the massive discharge of water since the dike wasn't constructed on strong ground. The dam has courted controversy in other ways too, for the fact that it has displaced villagers and has had a massive impact on the local environment. 2020 has been a pretty rough year for everyone, but it's been particularly tough for the residents of Midland County, Michigan. The dam in question was built 96 years ago, but it faced trouble in May of 2020 after multiple days of heavy rainfall. Most of the water from the Wixom Lake, which comes out to about 1,980 acres, overflowed out of its banks and into people's properties. Many parts of downtown Midland ended up being several feet underwater, destroying houses and businesses. It's easy to see why such destruction would ensue due to video footage of water rushing out of the dam, burying trees in its wake. Video from a different source provides an aerial view of the flooding and how far widespread the water was able to travel. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer had to declare a state of emergency and encouraged people living in the area to immediately seek out higher ground. Roughly 10,000 people and 3,500 houses were affected by the flooding, but thankfully, no deaths or injuries were reported. The flooding gave way to numerous challenges to help those impacted since it occurred in the midst of the COVID-19 lockdowns. Individuals had to be screened for the disease, while emergency response personnel had to make use out of as much personal protective equipment they could get to stay safe from any potential carriers. Shortly after the flooding, 4 homeowners from the area filed a class action lawsuit against the state's Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy for damages. The complaint states that the organization did not take essential actions to make repairs to the dam when it needed it most. The Oroville Dam is a critical component of the California State Water Project. It is an earthen embankment dam located on the Feather River, which is just east of the city of Oroville in Northern California. It serves several functions to the area, including hydroelectric power generation and flood control. Problems with the dam can be traced back to 2005. At this time, concerns were raised by those in local communities that the spillway was vulnerable. They submitted a $100 million request to enforce a concrete-lined auxiliary spillway to help ease pressure on the dam. This request was denied. On February 7, 2017, the main spillway failed and craters began to appear. In order to avoid increasing damage, water releases were stopped. But now the lake began to reach capacity, and on February 11th, water overflowed the emergency spillway, resulting in significant damage and erosion. While this was by design, the ground eroded much faster than those in charge expected, and it wasn't long before emergency evacuation orders were announced. Within a couple of days, water levels had dropped significantly in the lake, allowing emergency repairs to get underway. Concrete and rocks were placed under the emergency spillway to try to compensate for erosion, and it wasn't long after this that emergency evacuation orders were lifted. Locals got lucky this time, but the event proved the necessity to come up with better contingency plans in case something like this happens again. The destruction on the spillway was just a reminder of how precarious of a situation many towns are in, and how a lack of foresight can lead to disaster down the road. When a lake begins to get too full, officials in charge will sometimes authorize an emergency water discharge, which looks like this. It's a pretty impressive sight, and spectators know they are safe in this controlled environment. But sometimes these water bursts are not intentional. Sometimes they are the result of a dam failure, which is exactly what happened to the Ituango Dam in Colombia in 2018. For many years, it was considered to be the most important hydropower project in the entire country. The dam measures 220 meters in height and has 8 turbines. In the lead-up to the disaster, the dam underwent extreme landslides. In fact, an internal landslide resulted in the water detour tunnel getting clogged up. A couple of days after that occurred, a rush of water naturally unlocked the tunnel, allowing it to come pouring through. But they weren't in the clear yet. Soon, a different water detour tunnel got locked due to another internal landslide. This led to water accumulating and filling up the reservoir. To avoid as much of a disaster as possible, it was decided to utilize the machine room as a spillway. The river flow downstream increased, resulting in some towns flooding. Several bridges also collapsed. A brave soul captured how intense the water flow truly was in this video. An emergency had to be declared due to the event, with thousands of people being evacuated from their towns. The dam has caused trouble in more ways than one. During the time of the crisis, the company in charge of the dam was dealing with 3 separate investigations launched by the country's Attorney General to look into allegations of environmental damage and corruption linked to the construction of the dam. Lake Dunlap is a reservoir located on the Guadalupe River in New Braunfels, Texas. The reservoir came to be in 1931 due to the construction of the local dam, which was designed to harvest hydroelectric power. Aside from power, Lake Dunlap is also a popular vacation spot during the summer. However, the future of this lake was called into question on May 14, 2019, when the dam's spill gate collapsed unexpectedly. By the day's end, nearly the entire lake had been drained. In the video footage, you can see the exact moment the dam failed and water began to rush out. An investigation was soon underway, and it was found that aging structural steel played a significant role in the dam's collapse. The dam was nearly 90 years old at the time of the failure. Authorities said they were determined to get the dam back up and running as quickly as possible, but they noted it would be an extensive effort. Additionally, it would cost millions of dollars to repair. Many locals were worried about how the lack of a lake would impact their businesses. Much of the economy in the area is driven by the water trade, and that money could dry up for the near future. It just goes to show it may be costly to maintain dams, but it's always preferable over waiting for a disaster to destroy people's homes and businesses and then deciding to make upgrades. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to click the link on screen to check out 5 rocket launches that went horribly wrong. As always, thanks for watching, and we hope you tune in next time.